Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Velotric Nomad 1 fat tire electric bike. So let's get into it. Before we get started with the walk around, if you are looking to purchase any model offered by Velotric, please consider using our link down in the description. It's a free and easy way to help support the channel and makes videos like this one possible. We'll also put some other links down in the description, our popular electric bike accessories list, top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page where we track all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. With that, let's get into the walk around. If you aren't familiar with our videos, I'll do a walk around, then we'll get into some first person riding footage, test that motor up, our large hill climb test, and finally, you'll get my concluding thoughts in our third person riding footage. But let's check out the Nomad 1. So the company is relatively new. Last year, they launched the Discover 1 on Indiegogo, and the weather was about what it is today. Really cold day, and we did a review on their more city-oriented bike, and they followed that up this year with their Nomad bike. This is their fat tire bike. The price of this bike is $15.99, but as I record this, it's on sale for $13.99. So this is really one of those value-priced fat tire electric bikes. We'll talk about all the specs here in a second. It does come in two different frame options. As you can see here, this is the step-thru. I always like to review the step-thru models because they're more accessible. And of course, if you want a high step, you probably already know that. I'm finding more and more that people are opting for the step-thrus. This is the mango color, really pops. It also comes in cyan, sky blue, and spring. And Velotric notes that this will fit riders all the way down to 5'1" up to 6'4", and the high step model 5'6" up to 6'9" apparently. And that is also offered in mango, indigo gray, sand, as well as a forest color. Also, look-wise, if you like the look of this bike, you also might want to check out the Discover 1 because it takes a lot of design cues from the first model that they offered. Let's jump into everything this bike has to offer. We'll start with the true fat tires. These are CST BFT 26 by 4 inches wide, have some tread here. And of course, we are in Wisconsin in some snow, and all these fat tire electric bikes are really great to take out in the snow. You can lower the tire pressure. Let's jump into the brakes. 180 millimeter rotors with hydraulic disc brakes. One of the key selling points of this electric bike, at least when you're comparing it to other fat tire electric bikes in this price range, you just don't see hydraulic brakes very often, though they are unbranded at the calipers. But I was taking a closer look at these levers, and these look very similar to the Logan brand that I've seen on some other fat tire electric bikes. So while they might not have the brand name, they seem to perform just as good as those Logan brakes, and they do have motor cutoffs as well. So while unbranded, they do certainly perform better than mechanical disc brakes. On this bike, we have front and rear plastic fenders, and to aid in the comfort, we do have a front suspension fork, a relatively entry-level suspension fork, but it's about what I would expect for this price point. It has a preload adjustment on the left side, as well as a lockout on the rear. And really, you can't ask for much more as far as suspension goes on some of these more budget-priced models. We do have an integrated front light. This will provide decent visibility, both be seen and seen at night, though in the daylight it's a little bit more difficult to see. If you are doing lots of commuting, I always recommend the external rechargeable lights. For an axle, this is a bolt-on axle. I personally like to see quick release, though on a fat tire electric bike, you're probably not going to be removing the front tire, though a quick release is nice because if you do happen to get a flat, it's just a little bit easier to remove. Cable management wise, the company has done, I think, an excellent job using this wrap on both sides. All the cables coming into bundles on both sides of the bike. You can see where they enter the frame really clean. The bike does have some mounting points here for a front rack. Moving on to the cockpit, we have these really nice locking ergonomic grips. You don't often see these locking grips, and what's nice is they won't move around over time. I already talked about the hydraulic disc brakes with motor cutoffs. This bike does have a left-hand thumb throttle. There is a little pad for additional comfort. Jumping to the right side, they include a basic bell. And what I really like is they opted for a slight step up on the shifter. This is a Shimano trigger shifter. Most often we see the Cis Index thumb shifters, but I personally prefer this. You go down gears with your thumb here, and then up gears with your pointer finger. Jumping to the controls, we have the power button on the top and pedal assist up and down. I really like this backlit LCD display. We have the sun here today, and I was able to see this screen very easy during my test riding, though it is a monochrome display. Miles per hour is front and center. We have battery capacity, simply 5 bars. I always like to see a percentage, and hitting the power button is going to cycle through different information: trip, odometer, average speed, max speed, time, calories, and finally watts, which is really nice because then you know exactly how many watts the motor is putting out at any given time. In the upcoming first-person riding footage on the hill climb, I talk a little bit about the peak power of this bike. And then of course, pedal assist level 0 all the way up to 5. Now there are some advanced settings you can get to by holding the plus and minus button, but there's wheel size and backlight, and you're probably not going to be making any changes. But if you do want to override the top speed, I talk a little bit more about that in our first-person riding footage. Let's talk about the ergonomics of this electric bike. Of course, we have the accessibility of the step-thru, and then they've opted for these swept-back handlebars. It does not have an adjustable stem, so it's kind of an in-between. You don't have flat handlebars, so you're not super hunched over, so you're a little bit further back, but you don't have an adjustable stem if you really like a very upright riding position, though of course you could add one if you'd like. This stem is Velotric branded, and they do have these crosshairs which make installing the handlebars very easy. If you want to see us unbox this electric bike, you can check out our live unboxing video we did. For branding, pretty minimalistic. We have the Velotric name on the down tube, and then we have Nomad here back by the derailleur. I really like that the company included these bottle cage bosses, so you can put one right there. Just a note that it might affect your step through if you're really leveraging the lowest part of the frame. Onto the battery, it can be charged both on and off the bike. There is a button here which gives you an idea of battery capacity. I don't find myself using that very much. The charger plug is on the right side here. And yes, on the display of this bike, it does have a USB port so you can charge up your device. I'll show you how to remove this battery. Now on lots of electric bikes, we are seeing the batteries come down from the down tube, but what I really like about this battery is it's very easy to access and pull out, of course, because you don't have gravity working against you pulling the battery down, and you don't have the tire in the way as well. So I'll turn the key to the left and lift the battery out. This is a very average size battery, 48 volt, 14.4 amp hour battery, and you can see they also paint match the battery, which is an additional nice touch. And to put the battery back, simply insert the bottom first and snap it into place. At the bottom of the bike, there is a cover plate. I believe this is where Velotric is putting the controller, which is nice for any maintenance reasons. And this is one of the aesthetic cues that they took from the Discover 1, has this very similar design at the bottom. And I also wanted to call out just at the head tube here, you can see that there's no visible welds like you see on many electric bikes, so they're taking some extra care here with these frames. Moving on to the pedals, simple plastic pedals, always can upgrade those if you want something with more grip or want some additional color on your electric bike. The kickstand is located towards the rear of the bike, so no chance of the pedals coming in contact with it. Just a note that if you buy this bike, you do need to install the kickstand, which isn't common, but I think they're saving some packaging space by having the customer install it. Connecting the two seat stays is this nice V. That's a nod, of course, to Velotric, and it also helps keep the rear fender attached. As you can see, this bike does not come with a rear rack, something to be aware of if you're looking at other electric bikes and you want additional storage. One of the downsides of this bike, at least in its current form, is that the rear light runs off a battery. It's not integrated, though I am told that the company is making this change for future generations of this bike, so I look forward to seeing them do that. There's a look at the rear hydraulic disc brake, and just a note, if you do buy this bike, the bolt for the rear axle comes out pretty far, but they do give you a cover, so just make sure you install that. Don't want that getting caught on anything. Let's talk about this motor. So this is a 750 watt motor that peaks at 1200 watts, even more than 1200 watts I've seen on the display. Be sure to check out the first person riding footage because this motor is super impressive. The rear freewheel is 13 to 34 teeth, and then the front we have a single-sided front chainring. This is made out of plastic. It is 46 teeth. This is an 8-speed bike, and it comes with a Shimano Altus rear derailleur. It's a component we see on so many electric bikes. In fact, I would say the majority of electric bikes that we review have this exact same derailleur. I find personally that it gets the job done, though it is a more entry-level component offered by Shimano, though you can't expect them to be putting really high-end stuff on affordable electric bikes. It does have a barrel adjuster here, so you can adjust it if you need to make any changes to your shifting. I do like how Velotric handled the cable management. You can see the derailleur cable actually runs through the frame in the rear, and the motor cable comes in on the left side of the bike, as well as the cable for the rear hydraulic disc brake. And those cables all come out of the frame right here. One thing I hope they do in the future is include a chainstay protector. Just keep these frames looking nice. You can check out our electric bike accessories list where I link the tape that we typically put on here when companies don't include it. Jumping to the saddle, this is a wider saddle. I personally have no complaints on it, but saddles are such a personal preference. Be sure to check out our electric bike accessories list if you want some of the most comfortable seats that I see people purchase. Okay, with that, let's see what the 750 watt, 1200 watt peak motor can do in our first person riding footage. All right, first person riding footage on the Velotric Nomad 1. Now, I do want to remind everyone, this comes shipped as a Class 2 electric bike, which is 20 mile per hour top speed with the throttle or while pedaling. Now, they do advertise on their website, you can override this. So I did get in touch with the company, and they gave me instructions on how to do so. So I went into the advanced settings and changed that. If you are looking at purchasing one of these electric bikes, they asked me not to share the instructions. They kind of want to handle that process, so you can email them and they would be happy to share the information. When they send the information on how to do it, they also tell you to unplug the throttle because Class 3 electric bikes up to 28 miles per hour technically don't have throttles. So we're going to show this thing off unlocked. Be sure to follow all local laws and regulations. We'll throw a link to a really helpful resource that shows you e-bike regulations by state. And just a note, the pedal assist level does coincide with the amount of throttle you get. So I do have it in pedal assist level 5. So stock, this is going to top out at 20 miles per hour, but let's see what it can do unlocked. Got the GPS speed by Cool Nix on my phone to compare the speed. Looks like the GPS is just slightly delayed. Velotric display showing 20, there we go. And now the GPS is showing 23, 24 miles an hour. Velotric display a little less, 21.6. Looks like it's going to hold us at 24 miles per hour or so. Which makes sense because they allow you to change the top speed to 40 kilometers an hour in the advanced settings. Now, as I mentioned, the pedal assist levels coincide with the amount of power. So I went down to pedal assist level 1, and it's holding us at 10 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour with throttle only. And then obviously if I increase the pedal assist, it's going to slightly increase the speed. Now, many people do ask, can you ride an electric bike without the motor. Hopefully you don't run out of battery, but the answer is of course. You're just not going to do so very fast. I'm going about 9 miles an hour. That's about typical, especially for some of the heavier fat tire electric bikes. All right, now let's go through the various pedal assist levels. I'll start off in pedal assist level 1. I did shift down to first gear. Now, what I found with this pedal assist, in pedal assist level 1, when the cadence sensor senses me pedaling, it gives me just a little bit of power for just a split second, and then it kicks on a little bit more. So this bike most definitely has some power, so something to be aware of. Now in pedal assist level 1, I would shift up. There's second gear, maybe even third gear, going about 10 miles an hour, 11 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist level 2. Feel the motor a little bit more there. Let's go into fourth gear, going about 14 miles an hour. Pedal assist level 3. I really felt a pretty big jump there for the motor power. Let's go into fifth gear here. 17 miles an hour, 18 miles an hour. Pedal assist level 4. Again, feel the motor even more. Take this turn, and I did shift up into 6 gears. Nice having the 8 speeds on this bike. 19, 20 miles an hour according to the GPS. So I am noticing that the Velotric display is just reading a little bit less than the GPS. And this is a pretty comfortable cadence in pedal assist 4, going about 20 miles an hour. And I think what I saw in the information that they sent along is pedal assist 5 is really going to be, you know, the class 3 pedal assist, allowing you to go up over 20 miles per hour. So let's go in pedal assist level 5, see what this bike can do. Right, there's 20. And I'm gonna shift up to 7th gear, still providing plenty of power, 23 miles an hour. And I could shift up to 8th gear, not absolutely necessary. There's 24 miles an hour, not surprising given the throttle only top speed. So no ghost pedaling, which is always nice. Always good to be able to provide some human power above 20 miles per hour, which isn't necessarily a given on every electric bike that I review. So that's how it performs on flat ground. But let's see how this bike does up our large hill climb test. Time for the hill climb test. This is the hill that we test out all the electric bikes that we review, so you can compare and contrast. The GoPro makes this hill look so much smaller than it is, so I'll throw up a picture of the hill as well as the specs. And first test will be throttle only. We'll get up to speed. Just a note, I am a lighter rider at around 145 or so pounds. Now, what most people are interested in is what the minimum speed is, at least comparing it to other fat tire electric bikes. Hills starting now, going down from that 24 miles an hour, 20, 19, 18, 17, Velotric display is reading 16. And it is saying that we're using 1100, 1200 watts. Wow. So I'm really impressed. For a more budget price fat tire electric bike, This thing is very powerful. So if you live in a hilly area, I wouldn't worry at all about buying this bike, though it's always good to get some exercise, and it is an electric bike after all. So I'm gonna head back down the hill and we'll do it again while pedaling. All right, hill climb test while pedaling. I did test out the hydraulic disc brakes on the way down and no problem with performance. They did just fine. We'll start the hill in pedal assist level 1 and then we'll go up from there. I'm going to shift down. Third gear. This feels pretty comfortable. Third gear, pedal assist level 1. As I was talking about a little bit earlier, pedal assist level 1 still gives you a decent amount of power. So I could go up the hill like this just fine, conserve battery. Third gear, even gears to shift down if you wanted to. I could maybe even go to the fourth gear here if I wanted to put in a little bit more effort. But let's go ahead and go into pedal assist level 2. 13 miles an hour, 14. We're already at 800 or so watts. Could maybe shift up to fifth gear. Let's go into pedal assist level 3. 15 miles an hour. Shift up to sixth gear. Pedal assist level 4. Going about 18. We're getting close to 1200 watts there. Let's go into pedal assist level 5. And 19 miles an hour. Peaking over 1200 watts according to the display at times. 20 miles an hour. Suffice to say, this bike can demolish hills. All right, with that, let's get into some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Velotric Nomad 1. The Velotric Nomad 1 manages to stand out in the crowded fat tire e-bike category. The main selling points, in my opinion, are the surprisingly powerful motor and the hydraulic disc brakes, at least when compared to similar priced e-bikes. If you catch this e-bike on sale like it is now at $13.99, it is undeniably a great deal for what you're getting. While more superficial of a selling point, I also like that there are 4 color options on both the step-thru and the high step. And if you're looking for a slightly more upright riding position, you'll also appreciate the swept-back handlebars. The seat tube angle is also designed to be a bit more pedal forward than the average fat tire e-bike for a more laid-back riding feel. Sure, there are larger batteries out there, but this one should suffice for a majority of riders. Plus, bigger batteries add additional cost and additional weight. This is a value-priced e-bike after all. The Nomad 1 comes with a 3-amp charger that will have your battery full from empty in just under 5 hours. It's also worth pointing out the 8-speed Shimano trigger shifter, which in my book is an upgrade from the very basic thumb shifters that come on a majority of budget-priced e-bikes. Something I've also noticed everyone paying a little bit more attention to in the United States is UL certification. Velotric notes on their website that both the bike and battery are UL certified, and the bike is also IPX6 grade waterproof. Now, Velotric is still a relatively new company in the e-bike space, and it was just last year when we got an early look at the Discover 1, so it's hard for me to personally speak to customer service as a reviewer, so I always recommend checking out third-party forums to hear from customers. But what I will say is that Velotric offers phone support 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific, and I called the company as an anonymous customer and asked for instructions on how to override the top speed. Shortly after, the full instructions were in my email, so there's at least one point of reference. It's hard to knock Velotric for anything else on this e-bike. Sure, it would have been nice for the rear light to be integrated, but that will be addressed in the next iteration. If you're convinced that this is the right e-bike for you, we'd really appreciate it if you use our link down in the description. It costs you nothing and allows us to continue to do what we love, reviewing electric bikes. The Nomad 1 is a powerful, affordable electric bike with some nice surprises component-wise where it counts. For those looking for some cargo space, a rear rack and front rack are available for $69 each. Let me know what you think of the Nomad 1, and if you already own a Velotric, help out other potential customers by letting us know your experience in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.